Hello, this is Tyler here. It is May 27th. Today I want to discuss a quick topic here, and that's why it is so difficult if a girl breaks up with you when living abroad. Okay, this situation's occurred with me officially once. I dated girls in other countries, but I've actually only officially had one girlfriend. It was a very difficult experience. This was actually last summer when I was living in St. Petersburg, Russia in 2019. This was a girlfriend, honestly, I really liked, and I was actually going to pursue marriage with this person. And she was very keen on this possibility, and it was unfortunate how everything unfolded. This was a Russian girl that I had met while living in St. Petersburg. I met her shortly after arriving, and she was a very terrific person, and I actually still talk to this girl today. I didn't cut contact or anything like that. I know some people say to cut contact and all, but I attempted, and over time I realized I could still maintain connection without having the same kind of feelings with her. And I was with her for a decent period of time, and I was pretty certain that I thought she was like an ideal person to get married to. I'm very traditional in this sense. I really promote marriage above just civil partnerships, and unfortunately out of the blue I was very stressed out at this time. I had a lot of things going on in my life. I was both living in Russia. I had recently been terminated from my job. I was pursuing a startup business with my brother, and we were just on the brink of breaking seven-figure revenue. We were finalizing wholesale agreements, and we're doing crowdfunding campaigns. It was incredible time, and I was so stressed out and just had a lot going on at this time. Honestly, I had to put the relationship kind of in the back seat. When I met her, I wasn't actively pursuing a relationship in Russia at this time. I was just simply living there, and you'll find as a guy in Russia, it's really easy, honestly, to find a girlfriend and potentially a wife. It's not like how it is in most Western countries. So this, in my case, was a bit accidental, and I had a good relationship with her when it lasted. Going back, though, is I was very stressed out about and had a lot going on in my life, and the relationship had to take a back seat. This is just what it was, and I was not able to put a lot of energy, especially into these earlier phases of the relationship, to show that I care a lot. And just out of the blue, she broke the relationship. It was over. I was very, very heartbroken and felt just terrible for quite a bit of time after, for weeks, and I still felt the emotions for months after the matter. Being so many months out, I feel fine, but it was a very difficult time, and especially to living abroad. I was not used to being all by myself, and in this situation I didn't have any family to go back to or anything. I was totally on my own, and it was probably even more isolated feeling because I was in Russia. There were a couple of friends I had that were very terrific. They were great guys that really helped me, that were living in St. Petersburg where I was, and I was able to get a little better with them, but I still felt really terrible. And I realized at this time that the magnitude of a breakup is much higher when you're a foreign person in a foreign country, and this is something many people cannot relate to, and one has to be very mentally prepped for this if put in this situation. I imagine with a married couple, it's even worse for a guy if they're married to a person in a country, and if they possibly have a child or children, that's probably even worse feeling. You have to keep your mindset in the right frame, and that's why just keep in mind before pursuing the relationship, understand these factors from the get-go, because if you're not ready to be dealt these blows, you may be better off not even being in the relationship in the first place, because you won't have any high or low. You won't have the extreme high, but likewise you won't have the extreme low. That's important. Also remember, keep very good health during these times. I, fortunately, was going to the gym a lot last year, and I was eating well, and I was just maintaining myself, because the physical manifests into the mental, and this helped me a lot, honestly, to kind of push through and still have the health and to have the energy to do other things I had to get done, because I still had to continue working and still had to go about my day-to-day life. I was studying Russian at the time, and I was still pursuing my ambitions, and it was just hard at times being in this mental state. People who've never really been in love with someone, it's hard for someone to relate to, honestly. The feeling, honestly, to go from having that person to having that absence is just unlike anything most people have ever experienced in their life. And it's really hard to describe for someone who's never been in this situation, the emptiness. And I still remember when I would go back to my apartment, I would be by myself, and it was to the extent that I actually, when I moved back to Estonia, I actually liked it that I found a new apartment. I was living somewhere else, because in this former apartment I associated with my former girlfriend in St. Petersburg, so I actually felt better when I got into a new place. This is important to understand, that certain relics, like where you're living, certain belongings that are associated with a former girlfriend or spouse may bring back those feelings, and it's important to maybe change environment, change situation. Now, the next thing was getting over the fact that I would be with the girl again. In Russia, it's very common for former boyfriends to continue to pursue their girlfriends that broke up with them. This is not uncommon, and it's actually more common than people would think. I kind of had the mindset when I was there, that's kind of what I was doing at some point. And then I just realized, I was like, this is not worth it, honestly. This is just, I can find someone who's more interested, who probably a better fit. Truthfully, I actually did find new dates within a very short amount of time. 5 different people I actually ended up going out with before I then left the country. I just was like, okay, I want to expand my horizons and just get my head in a different mindset. It wasn't like this concept in the West that we have. It's called breakup sex. That was not at all my mindset, and I never would pursue something like that. But it was just to go on a date and be with a different person. Because guys have to remember this, is that when a girl breaks up with you, I mean, the girl probably has a whole line of options, honestly, that they already will start going out with, or already have been going out with. There's probably another guy, especially in the West, that they've already been going out with. They're not going to be thinking much about you. This isn't going to be like how guys think that it often is. And that's why, as a guy, you sometimes should also be in the mindset that, okay, I'll go on a few dates with some other people, because it's like you have a short life and there might actually be better options out there. Just understand that life is not fair. I mean, we're dealt all sorts of blows in this life. You just gotta move on. I mean, if you look at how humans have evolved and how history's been, it's been very tough and rough, and a breakup is nothing when you look at the whole course of history. This same kind of toughness I always reminded myself of. I was a foreign person from America in Russia. Just to be in that position in the first place, I was a tough person. I was someone that could think for themselves, and I reminded myself of this. That was a lot more so than any breakup, and I would always keep that in mind. The last thing is that if you're in a country like Russia, there's other countries similar. There's so many other women that you can go out with and that you could potentially marry. That if you're a guy that maintains himself, works hard, that is diligent and strives for excellence, you'll have a lot of other options for potential spouses. Just remember that you are the prize. This will help motivate you. I look forward to everyone's feedback here, and thank you.